morning. This is a special broadcast specifically in response to Jordan Shanks, because I believe we're getting closer, mate. We're getting near some type of place that we can perhaps do some things. I had to delete, because I'm working off a 10-year-old tablet here. I had to delete basically what was just a really long video of me being racist against Irish people, basically saying that the Irish are the new Jews. That's probably not politically correct enough to, stake any type of claim on. And so I watched your video and I've gone, okay, I see where he's going. He's trying to tell me that there is a very specific labour movement in Australia that is uniquely Australian, that is not, in fact, just building their own prison to sell to China. See, that's what I think's happening. But maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe we're secretively pretending to build a prison that we're going to then just sell to China. And we're actually going to fucking start breaking the walls down and fucking have another stockade moment, Eureka stockade moment. If that's where we're at, then I'm fucking all on board that. I'll bring my own hammer. The problem is, it's the constraints that the union has done some things. Now, I'm a little bit jaded because the only experience I've ever had working on a union site, at that exact same time, I got beaten up by 20 people for wearing different coloured fucking shoes, and then I got fired a week after almost being killed. With some type of redundancy. It just all, I was like, well, this is an absolute fucking scam. I watched the whole fucking manufacturing thing go overseas, and then the entire skilled labour section just turn into labour hire, all squeezed through the union's fucking models that is just independent. When you appease people's individual interests, when you say, you need more money, you need less time, I'm fucking Jordan Shanks, I do funny voices like this, then you all become individual fucking kings, which is the whole thing. If there was a union movement, you're all kings. There is no king like in America. You're all kings. But because of this, you all get together to do this one thing, which is what they want you to do, when instead you should be all getting together and saying, we don't just want to be paid correctly for mining, we all want to control the fucking mine. Or we all want to own the manufacturing sector. We want to control how the product is made, distributed, priced, the scale of distribution, the supply of it, so that there is an oversupply and undersupply. All these things are far too difficult to explain to most union people now because they are so pandered to in their floating economic bubble. Because that's all it is. You're just floating in a bubble where all, you're richer than the people around you making coffee or doing teaching or whatever. You're just floating in your little unionised bubble in an ocean of inflation that will eventually make you powerless to be able to do anything. And then you'll be digitally entrapped in your little fucking prison that you built. This is what I have a problem with. And then if anyone starts speaking like I do, you're lucky if you don't get your fucking head stomped into the fucking ground because you were all fucking bullies. And that's all you've gotten good at. I've been dealing with it for my entire fucking working career. I was a subcontractor in the last days of subcontractors. We took on whole jobs, we understood the whole thing. And then I watched as that contracting basis got stolen by large labour hire entities that just, they were the kings. They only had to deal with labour. They only had to deal with sorting out the guys on the ground. And they divided them all up. Their skills vanished, so they didn't have oversight of the entire trade or the entire industry, the entire process, which leaves them susceptible to not being able to go, hey guys, we could do it all ourselves, we have the skills, we have the money, we have everything like this, why don't we go and build our own place? Because the real answer to what you're saying is, okay, so we've got this special thing, we didn't have hierarchy, we didn't have these things. Nobody wants to live in a city or in a country built by union members in this specific Australian identified union thing. So yeah, they might be the diggers, they might be all this thing, they might have fought for these rights. But to what end? Because you hold down with this tall poppy thing, you hold down anyone that will come and say, hey, listen, I've got a better idea that works and it's ordered for everyone, where we can all... It's actually kind of the rebuttal to the thing. The unions try to make everyone kings, especially in a country as lucky as this. And all that really is you're just that, but spread out more. And because you spread it all out, you don't concentrate power to somewhere that can actually make a unified agreement that you can all fall into. So you end up killing each other. You all fight each other into your own imprisonment. It's too complicated to explain to someone, especially if they've been protected from even having to develop a full 360-degree view of their profession, because they've been compartmentalised down purposefully by the capitalists. So once again, I find myself homeless, politically homeless, because I can't find a place. You are correct. One looks after capital and one looks after labour. Well, can you at least admit that Australian professionals, Australian labour... Sorry, this duck here just continuously just... See this duck here has it better than anyone. It's just in a fucking humongous swimming pool, just splashing around. And it keeps interrupting me, and now it stops. Are you going to do it again? There you go. That's what that noise is. I hope you can see it. But that's... Can you at least admit... Okay, so if you're an Australian union member, no matter what union, you are using slavery in a foreign country. They're going to unionise against you. At the moment, other countries, like take China, they are going to Eureka Stockade the Labour Party in Australia. Inevitably. This is your religion. You started this religion. And it's a never-ending avalanche of this shit, because there's always someone that's a bigger victim. At the moment, I'm being victimised by the union members because I'm being prevented, because distribution from my particular trade, it's being made in another country, the supply is being controlled into the country and is pushing professional tradesmen into being basically fucking Uber drivers. That's what I'm against. That's the real thing. It has nothing to do with money. No matter how much money you're getting, no matter how much overtime, no matter how little hours you're working, all this understanding of economics and of control and of power and autonomy and sovereignty is all squeezed through this unionised mindset that has always been in opposition to anyone organising a structure. If you're organising a structure, you're the enemy of the union members. So what do we end up with? An unorganised ramble that's well paid, well looked after. But just because your power structure is distributed, if it doesn't collectivise and it doesn't elect good leadership, it elects puppets, then the capitalists will always backhand you. They will backhand you, backdoor you, because they're smarter than you. It's like when you get these viruses and things like these staph infections in hospitals. All unionisation in this country has done is make a few bogans be able to buy a few more fucking cars and a few more tattoos. And it's actually made the capitalist overlords, as you would describe them, have to be absolute fucking digital fucking geniuses in order to backdoor your thing. And so the union in this country now, the unions, all of them, are just acting as prison guards, while the new cohort of prisoners, convicts, that is far worse than the convicts of old, than the convicts that most of these original union representatives were, as you described in your video. Now this is just international arbitrage where we're going to get ass fucked by China, inevitably, because we've grown too complacent. Complacency is always the tool of people that are patient. They will make you complacent. Not one person in this union went and built castles. They didn't build structures. They just constantly put themselves as the victim. And that's getting a little bit hard to swallow now. I will not sit there and think that someone on $200,000 a year who's spending most of their money on drugs, on pornography, or on international trips to fucking hot zones and the thing that are just being collected by Russians. That's the trap. And the funny thing is, I shouldn't really be talking about this. I should just quietly sneak off and be like, no. Because me talking, even talking against this monstrosity, puts a target on my head. And always has done. And I've actually taken the fucking beating. I don't know whether there's a connection to the fact that I wore different coloured shoes to a union job. And watched as a fucking 1,000-head army of fucking union things, all collectively, as a 26-year-old, mobbed me and followed me like I was a fucking... I may as well have been a leper. You've just built an army. And now that army is filled with construction workers, with police, with nurses, and the stuff going on in the back ends of those systems is insane. Because it's a failure to actually understand the hierarchy, the hierarchical structure that the empire was. It was autonomously led. This settlement here was settled by Stirling. Perth, I'm talking about Perth. And he bragged about it being, he didn't get permission, he just did it. He claimed it and built a whole place. And the idea that they went around killing all the Aboriginals, that's not even the truth either. They started building stuff. The Aboriginals would come and go, usually stealing food and weapons, and they would kind of be pushed off. And then once there was tension, yeah, maybe there was some pushing off and there was some genocide. But it wasn't really like that. They weren't hostile. And this is no different than what the unions have done to the industries. Like, we had stable, protected manufacturing in almost every single profession that there is, and that's all been exported. And now people are so pandered to that no one's going to take the loss to go and set up their thing. And even me, like, I took 10 years to understand my industry, to understand what was happening, and to attempt to create basically a guild to protect the trades, to protect the people in reality, not just give them good wages, to protect their autonomy over their own industry. And this is the massive failure. Everything is broken down to money. And in an international game, and in an international game of money and time, pandering to those individual needs or wants, more specifically, will always fail. It will always be beaten. So I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to say this to the Prime Minister and say, listen, your Labour Party is outdated. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's building a prison. And the one difference is when my empire came here, it was something that you like to throw back in our face. You like to claim that the diggers were that this country was built on unions. Perhaps it was built on the conversation that was actually allowed to be had between the unions and this elite class that you speak of. It's the conversation that took place that was the important thing, not a particular side. And if that conversation is not being allowed to be had now, if I'm not allowed to say that, hey, well, yeah, you've all got good conditions, but you're building a prison, and I'm going to leave before they close the gates, then we've slipped away from that. we're not having a conversation anymore because our new overlords, our shadow overlords, in the form of supply chains and global shipping and global finance, they're not even allowing the conversation to take place. And this is where you get a phenomenon like, I would far rather, I've been to Port Arthur, I would far rather be building that place and be imprisoned there, where they were kind of free. It wasn't the same. Yes, if you were really, really naughty, you were perhaps put in chains and things like that, or thrown off a bridge, but that's usually the psychopathic murderers that had that kind of treatment. I would rather be there with the opportunity in the future to have a piece of land given to me than be in a prison where even to utter the phrase, or even to acknowledge the fact that we are building a prison here is a punishable offence by prison, if not far worse. So, yeah, I hope every day that the reputation of the Australian labour movement that you speak so highly of, I'm waiting for it to arrive. I've been trying to have the conversation for 15 years now. As soon as it arrives, as soon as you all arrive, then that will allow me to arrive and we can have the conversation between Australians that we need to have. We can understand that the more complex dynamics that don't just fall into simple wage and hourly rate and minimum wage agreements. That is from a slave's perspective. That's from, you've already lost the war if that's all you're arguing about. If I'm saying, as a person whose family's been here for 180 years, if I don't have confidence in offloading my father's estate and purchasing freehold land in this country, in a state as large as Western Australia, then what are we talking about? You know, the omen about a ship and rats leaving the ship. Well, if you want to call me a rat, I'm about to leave. You can ignore that and say that I'm a rat, you know, kill all the fucking rats. And then you're on your own. Then you're on your own ship.